My name is Jeffrey Apiakran Manu. My company is Light Creative Branding based in Accra, and you're watching AFK Insider. I run a company called Light Creative. It's a branding and design firm for startups in Africa, and in the last 2 years, we've actually broadened our scope to serve clients in the States and other parts of the world, but 80% of our focus is on Africa now. What we usually tell people is to communicate your values to your customers and the people who work for you, because that's what really a brand is, communicating your values to people. So that's usually our standard advice, and that could be with regards to your products, with regards to your services, even how you treat the people who work for you. It's all part of your brand. So what we advise is that whatever it is, if what you believe in is what you're doing, let people know that that's what you're doing. Because there's so much competition out there that if you're not specific as to who you are and what you're about, then people confuse you. So if I can position you in my mind as to this is what you stand for and these are what your values are, then I know that I can buy from you. So that's basically the crust of what we tell people, that communicating your values is best when you're building a brand. So I had worked in advertising for a while. I'd worked in tech for a while. So after I had consulted for big companies for a while, I decided that I had to look at the startups because they needed a lot of help and they didn't have the money to pay for a big branding agency or advertising agency to help them. And my kind of like personal mantra, I got this from a guy called David Oyedepo. He said that your value is not really in what you have, but what you give. And I could have stayed in like big time branding and PR and so on and made a lot of money, but I decided that it's best to actually have an impact with startups because they need it so much that you could save them 5 years of mistakes if they get the right advice in the beginning. And the second thing that made me start was that I found out that a lot of people kind of know what they want to do, but they just don't know how to get there. So somebody says, I want to make $10,000 every week in the next 6 months. But then the person doesn't even know, how do I make $10,000 every week in the next 6 months? And if the person gets the kind of advice that we give them and follows it, the person usually can hit those targets. But for many startups, they don't have good mentors, they don't have people who have already tried what they are doing already that they can ask. So that's where we kind of fill in the gap. So it was kind of easy for me to get into that space because I was going in wanting to help, and everybody wants help. So that worked out. In my experience, because I've founded and co-founded 2.5 companies so far, was that for brands that usually start with venture capital funding or even some angel funding, if that's what they start with, their first order of business is, how do I spend this 100K that I just got? But for brands that don't start with a lot of money, their first order of business is, how do I get more money to run this business? So if all you're starting with is a lot of money, or all you're starting with is, how do I get a lot of money to do this idea, it changes the dynamics from someone who is about building their product and is willing to bootstrap and is willing to look at 50 years from now. Because when you think long, it helps you to start small and take baby steps. And secondly, another thing that like I kind of saw with regards to startups is that if you are able to, let's say, make one shirt, for example, and you're able to sell it to one person, and you understand your business model very well, you can sell it to the next person, the third person, the fourth person with the exact same way, and you can then figure out how to scale your business model. If all you're thinking about is, how do I get 100 people now, it may cause you some kind of myopia where you think that business is what will help your idea to get big. But idea is one thing, and money is one thing, but a combination of how do I build the business, how do I scale the business, and how do I get money to scale the business helps better than let's just get a lot of money and see how it goes. So I kind of believe that think big but start small and you figure it out.